walk around the park with him.
Yeah, and show him all the stuff that needs to be taken care of.
His financial disclosure does show the president's son-in-law resigned or divested himself from several of his holdings, including a somewhat controversial building at 666 Fifth Avenue. He's also resigned from his position in the family business this January. But as a whole, Jared Kushner remains invested in nearly 90% of his pre-White House real estate holdings, 124 properties, most now held in trust.
Is he still involved in these projects? I think he's got too much on his plate at the moment. I mean, you can't try to solve Middle East peace and be the liaison with the Pentagon and also look at properties. But he has a financial stake in these properties. He's not divested from everything.
The Kushners continue to make big deals just without Jared. In May, Kushner's sister was widely criticized for mentioning her brother's role in the White House while pitching Chinese business owners to invest in the company's billion-dollar development in New Jersey. That role in the White House also raised concerns when the Kushners were trying to attract a Chinese bank to redevelop a potential real estate flop. That building at 666 Fifth Avenue, that's $1.4 billion in debt. The Chinese deal fell through. The family still needs to refinance, but Jared's no longer involved. He sold his stake when he went to the White House. So just what does this all have to do with Russia? After all, none of Jared Kushner's 54 pages of financial disclosures disclose anything about Russia. CNN has been told by sources that the special counsel is focusing in on an odd meeting Jared Kushner had here in December at Trump Tower with the head of Russia's state bank. It wasn't just any Russian state banker. It was a Putin friend who attended Russian spy school, a mega-rich banker named Sergei Gorkov. Gorkov heads one of the Russian banks facing stiff sanctions from the United States. And to add a little intrigue, Mr. Gorkov isn't talking.
What did you really speak to Jared Kushner about in New York when you met him in December?
No comments.
The Russian bank and the White House have two very different versions of what that meeting was about. The Russian bank said they talked business. The White House says they talked future U.S.-Russia relations. And both versions have fueled speculation. If the bank's version about a business meeting is true, congressional Democrats want to know whether Kushner might have brought up his family's troubled 666 building and the need for a new loan, which could cross ethical lines between his company and his role as advisor to the president. If Kushner's version about it being a diplomatic meeting is true, it raises questions about whether the bank brought up U.S. sanctions and appealed to Kushner to drop them. But so far, all of that is speculation. Kushner's attorney said Jared volunteered to share with Congress what he knows about these meetings, and a White House official tells CNN Jared takes the ethics rules very seriously and would never compromise himself or the administration. He is fully complying with the federal ethics rules and will recuse as necessary. Drew Griffin, CNN, New York.
Our conflict of interest watch for the day. Our thanks to Drew Griffin for that report. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Jake Tapper. You can tweet the show at The Lead CNN. That's it for The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. I turn you over now to Wolf Blitzer, who is in the Situation Room. Have a great day.
Happening now, breaking news, end of the week. The White House now says it is possible President Trump will have an answer by the end of the week on whether there are Oval Office recordings, more than a month since he hinted that there may be tapes of his talks with fired FBI Director James Comey. New Flynn questions. Top Democrats want more documents on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, saying he failed to disclose a 2015 Middle East trip that was followed by a Saudi-Russian nuclear deal, and failed to give details on another trip. Senate blockade. Furious Democrats are vowing to block all Senate business in response to Republican secrecy in drafting Obamacare replacement bill. Will GOP leaders hold a vote without hearings and without saying what's in the mystery bill? An American detainee dead. Otto Warmbier, the University of Virginia student who was held by North Korea for nearly a year and a half, has died, according to his family. Warmbier was returned to the United States only last week in a coma. He had been sentenced to 15 years of hard labor for allegedly stealing a propaganda poster. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room.
This This is CNN Breaking News.
Breaking news amid another round of mixed messages on the Russia investigation. The White House now says, and I'm quoting, "It is possible there may be an answer by the end of the week on whether the president has made secret recordings." It's been 10 days since the president promised an answer and well over a month since he hinted in a tweet that he may have tapes of his conversations with fired FBI Director James Comey. That's about all the White House is saying, refusing to answer most questions on the Russia probe, even as a lawyer for the president contradicts President Trump's own declaration that he's being investigated for firing Comey. And first on CNN, top Democratic lawmakers are now demanding more documents on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. They say he left important information out of his security clearance application, failing to disclose a 2015 Middle East trip that was followed by a Saudi-Russian nuclear deal. And there's a showdown on Capitol Hill this hour as Democrats vow to block business in the Senate over Republican secrecy in putting together an Obamacare replacement bill. Senate GOP leaders won't say what's in the bill. Even many Republicans don't know the details, and they're pushing for a vote by the July 4th recess without holding any hearings. I'll talk to Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of the Judiciary Committee. And our correspondent, specialists, and guests, they're standing by with full coverage of the day's top stories. Let's begin with the mixed signals coming from President Trump and his lawyer on whether he's under investigation in the Russia probe, and a possible answer on whether the president recorded his talks with fired FBI Director James Comey. First, let's go to our senior White House correspondent, Jim Acosta. So mum's the word at the White House, I take it, Jim.
That's right, Wolf. The White House once again stonewalled reporters today, hiding behind an off-camera briefing to sidestep questions on the Russia investigation. We're coming to you live right now from the White House briefing room, something White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer refused to do earlier today.
Mr. President, are you under investigation?
No surprise, as President Trump offered no answers on whether he's under investigation in the Russia probe, though he had this to say to the president of Panama.
Panama Canal is doing quite well. I think we did a good job building it, right? Yeah. We did a very good job.
Even though the president raised the specter that he's under investigation himself when he tweeted, "I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director, witch hunt."
Let me be clear, the president's not under investigation. I was a trial.
One of the president's personal lawyers, Jay Sekulow, oddly insisted the president is not under investigation. Then he all but admitted he can't be sure.
You don't know whether he's under investigation. You don't know whether he's under investigation or not.
A contradiction he repeated on CNN.
Why you haven't picked up the phone to find out is a little odd. If I hired you, I'd want you to make that phone call.
Well, you haven't hired us because we represent the President of the United States.
The stonewalling continued in the White House briefing room, which was the scene of an off-camera, no-audio briefing where Press Secretary Sean Spicer provided more non-answers. Can the president fire Special Counsel Robert Mueller? Spicer, I think the broader point here is that everyone who serves the president serves at the pleasure of the president. Does the president have recordings of his conversations at the White House? Spicer, I will tell you, I believe the president commented in the next couple of weeks. It is possible we have an answer on that by the end of the week. Members of Congress want to know, where are the tapes?
They have not been turned over, but the House Intelligence Committee has asked that those tapes, if they exist, be produced.
The information blackout comes as the White House began what it's calling Technology Week by rolling out the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to tout the administration's innovation of government services.
By modernizing these systems, we will meaningfully improve the lives of tens of millions of Americans.
Kushner is now seeking additional attorneys for his own legal team after discovering his personal lawyer once worked with the special counsel. That personal lawyer, Jamie Gorelick, said in a statement, "After the appointment of our former partner Robert Mueller as special counsel, we advised Mr. Kushner to obtain the independent advice of a lawyer with appropriate experience as to whether he should continue with us as his counsel." And speaking of Sean Spicer, CNN has confirmed that the White House is looking at moving Spicer into a different role in the West Wing, a move that would create an opening for a new White House press secretary, the person who stands behind this podium during these briefings when they are on camera, Wolf. And of course, we would hope for better treatment from the next White House press secretary than we got today. Sean Spicer took a question during this off-camera briefing from a Russian reporter from a Russian news outlet, and not from CNN. Wolf.
Jim Acosta at the White House briefing room. Jim, thank you very much. There's more breaking news right now Otto Warmbier, the University of Virginia student who was held by North Korea for nearly a year and a half, has died just days after being returned to the United States in a coma. Let's bring in our chief national security correspondent, Jim Sciutto. Jim, what are you finding out about this?
Well, we learned about this just in the last few moments based on a statement from his family, a sad statement saying that just after 2 o'clock this afternoon that Warmbier died. I'm going to quote from that statement now. When Otto returned to Cincinnati late on June 13th, he was unable to speak, unable to see, and unable to react to verbal commands. He looked very uncomfortable, almost anguished. Although we would never hear his voice again, within a day, the countenance of his face had changed. He was at peace. He was home, and we believe that he could sense that. But certainly extremely sad news for the family. You may remember he was held in North Korea for some 17 months, accused by North Korea of stealing a propaganda banner from the hotel. That account challenged by fellow travelers on his trip. He went to North Korea with an adventure travel company. Wolf, he was captured there. As he was leaving Pyongyang by flight, he was taken away, and it was a couple of weeks later that the North Koreans accused him of this. You may remember there was a show trial, a tearful confession by Warmbier there that was presumably under duress, and then we didn't hear about him. And it was a couple of weeks ago when we understand that the U.S. State Department learned of his medical condition, that he was in a coma. He was returned, sadly close to his death, and we learned today that he did die.
Yeah, now the Trump administration has got to make a major decision. What, if anything, does the U.S. do about this as far as North Korea is concerned?
That's exactly right. In effect, North Korea detained a young American without cause, and he died. Not in their custody, but he was returned very close to death, and by any measure, North Korea responsible, in effect, for his death. I've reached out to the White House for comment, how they're going to react to this. We have not gotten it yet, but it is a big test for U.S.-North Korea policy going forward.
It certainly is. All right, there's another breaking story we're following right now. It involves the president's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. Now, you're learning that key members of the House of Representatives now are demanding more information about some business dealings he may have had involving Russia and Saudi Arabia?
That's exactly right, and an undisclosed foreign trip. Of course, this is not the first time we've heard of questions going to the fired National Security Advisor, the retired General Michael Flynn. I have the letter here. It comes from Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, as well as the Democrat on the Committee for Foreign Affairs, Eliot Engel, Elijah Cummings from the Oversight Committee. I'm going to quote from that letter now because it raises a particular trip that these Democrats on the committee say that General Flynn did not report when he was applying for the reissuing of a security clearance before he became the National Security Advisor. It says in the letter, quote, "First, it appears that General Flynn failed to disclose a trip he took to the Middle East in the summer of 2015 to pursue a joint U.S.-Russian business venture to develop nuclear facilities located in and financed by Saudi Arabia." So to be clear there, the trip to Saudi Arabia, but Russia involved yet again here, a deal between Saudi Arabia and Russia to build a number of nuclear power plants there. This is based in part on a story that appeared in Newsweek with some details of this trip, but also on testimony from General Flynn that he gave in June 2015 before the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, where he referred to a trip that he had just returned from at the time. But when they looked at his form that he submitted before he became National Security Advisor, he reported a trip later that year in October of 2015, but not crucially this trip in June. And as you know, Wolf, we talked about this a number of times on these security clearance forms. You have to report all of your foreign travel, each trip by date, who you met with, etc. And they're saying he did not report this trip. They also say that he did not report any of the foreign officials he met during some 7 years before he applied for this security clearance. I've reached out to his lawyer. He would not comment. This is Michael Flynn's lawyer. He would not comment on the letter. He did confirm that he has received the letter. I reached out to Democrats on the committee. They say that they reached out to Republicans on the committee. They declined to sign on. But I did speak to one Republican staffer who said that they did not have an opportunity to see this letter before it was released.
And if you're not honest on these security forms that you're filling out to get security clearances, that's a crime.
It is a crime. It's a federal statute that requires you to report all foreign travel as well as all contacts with foreign officials.
A new development on that front as well. Jim Sciutto, thanks very much. Joining us now, Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. He's a key member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you, Wolf.
We're going to get to the news on the president shortly, but first I have to ask you, what would be the appropriate U.S. action to take in response to the death of Otto Warmbier, the University of Virginia student, as a result of his treatment by North Korea. After 17 months in a prison, hard labor, he returned to the United States in a coma and is now dead.
I don't know exactly, but it certainly looks as if his condition and his ultimate death was caused by the brutality of the North Koreans, and there needs to be a sanction for that of some kind. They simply cannot be allowed to seize Americans, brutalize them, and send them home in a coma to die. That is not acceptable. And I think all across America there are a lot of broken hearts for the Warmbier family.
What would you like to hear from President Trump?
Well, I wish I had more confidence in him, but I think to give him credit, he responded very decently to the shooting of Representative Scalise and the others at the baseball game, and I'm hoping that he'll respond in an appropriate fashion to this.
We're standing by for White House reaction to this very, very sad news. Senator, the president's lawyer, personal lawyer, Jay Sekulow, is reverting back to the original explanation by the White House that President Trump was only sort of following his own Justice Department's recommendation in firing FBI Director James Comey. Does that argument stand up in light of the president's own public comments, including his statements to Lester Holt of NBC News?
I think a lawyer creates a problem when he makes assertions of fact that run directly contrary to things that his client has actually said in public that everybody heard him say. So both as to the rationale for firing Comey and as to whether or not he was under investigation, you know, have a lawyer denying things that we've all heard out on the plain air. So I don't think we can get these people in front of a situation where they're under oath quickly enough. A lot of this nonsense disappears when people have to be under oath or speaking to a judge with their license to practice law potentially at risk.
As you know, Jay Sekulow, the private attorney representing the president in those various TV appearances, sent mixed messages about whether the president is or is not under investigation. First of all, would he be in a position to know for sure?
Well, at some point, the Department of Justice would let the target of an investigation know that they were a target. But there's a lot that can be put together before that's the case. And it is clearly the case that the president is the subject of an obstruction of justice investigation related to his comments about letting Flynn go. I mean, that is a prima facie case of obstruction of justice out of the mouth of the President of the United States. And I think any prosecutor would say, okay, you've got a case, now let's go button it down. And I think they're probably in a let's go button it down phase of that investigation. But the notion that after having said that, knowing what obstruction of justice law is, to say that the president is not under investigation is it just doesn't make any sense at all.
But that's your conclusion, Senator. Correct me if I'm wrong. Has someone told you from the office of the special counsel that he is under investigation as part of an obstruction of justice case?
No, I'm not getting any inside information out of the office of special counsel. This is just looking at what he said, putting it against the law related to obstruction of justice, and understanding that basically he has made out a complete case of obstruction of justice, and that is enough to have an investigation go forward. Put it the other way around, the Office of Special Counsel would be derelict in its duty if it were not investigating the president for that.
The White House says it's possible President Trump could clarify if there are tapes of his conversations with the fired FBI Director James Comey. They say they could do that potentially by the end of this week. Why has the president left this question unanswered for so long? What's the issue here?
I don't know. It doesn't seem to make any sense. It could be that, like with so much of what he says, he begins with a lot of big talk that has absolutely nothing factually behind it, and that there, in fact, are no tapes. But, we'll just have to wait and see. We do not know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not what one would consider to be normal behavior.
Because he himself raised this issue back on May 12th. He tweeted this. I'll put it up on the screen. He said, James Comey, better hope that there are no tapes in quotes, of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press. A lot of people saw that as a potential threat from the president to Comey.
I think it is a threat. I mean, bear in mind, this is a guy who comes out of a New York developer business world where you bully people and try to push them around through your lawyers. He's never been up against anything like the Department of Justice or a special counsel before. So I think he's just reverting to form and trying to make nice and charm people and have Comey over to a little private dinner and then bully when he doesn't get his way. That's his manner, but it doesn't work against the Department of Justice.
Why haven't your committee, subpoenaed the tapes, if there are tapes?
We've requested them, and we're waiting to see
But it's
what the responses are.
It's one thing to request, it's another thing to subpoena, as you well know.
Well, the chairman controls the subpoena, so you'll need to ask Chairman Grassley about that.
You want him to do it, though, right?
I think it would be sensible. It would cut through a lot of the nonsense.
All right, Senator, stand by. There's more information coming into the Situation Room. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Situation Room with Walt Blitzer is brought to you by IBM. You, powered by data, knowledge, insight. That's you to the power of IBM.
Hey, Dad, come meet the new guy.
The new guy? What new guy?
I hired some help. He really knows his wine.
This is the new guy?
Hello, my name is Watson.
You know wine, huh?
I know that you should check Vineyard Block 12.
Block 12.
My analysis of satellite imagery shows it would benefit from decreased irrigation.
I was wondering about that.
Easy boy. Nice doggy.
What do you think?
Not bad.
It's not just a car, it's your daily retreat. The ES and ES Hybrid.
Lease the 2017 ES 350 for $329 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
My dad's, grandma's, Aunt Stacy's.
What are the reasons you care for your heart? Cunol CoQ10, with 3 times better absorption, has the #1 cardiologist recommended form of CoQ10 to support heart health. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
How do world champions like Drew Brees, Dwayne Wade, and Serena Williams keep their cool? The all-new Max Cooling Towel from Mission. Just soak, wring, and snap to activate. Cools as low as 60 degrees. Plus provides up to 30% greater cooling power.
It instantly cools you down.
Whether you're training hard, playing hard, or working hard, now you can beat the heat.
There's no other cooling towel like Mission.
Available at mission.com and a retailer near you.
How do we say that this summer, if guests book direct at choicehotels.com and stay twice, they'll get a $50 gift card?
Summertime. Bada book, bada boom.
Got you a shirt. I kept the receipt.
Book now at choicehotels.com.
Sorry about the hold-up, folks. We have some congestion on the runway, and I'm being told it'll be another 15, maybe 20 minutes, and we will have you on your way.
Runway models on the runway? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Evan saved by switching to Geico.
I would not wear that lace. I don't know.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Did you know even the smartest kids can lose up to 2 months of learning during the summer break? That's because young minds need to be challenged and absorbing new knowledge year-round. And it's why so many kids are enrolled in Kumon. Kumon learning doesn't stop for summer. With just 30 minutes per subject a day of math and reading, smart minds stay engaged and stay ahead. Give your kids a smarter summer this summer and an academic advantage all year. Visit Kumon.com and save up to $50 with free registration.
Sandals Grand Antigua was incredible.
The pool was as large as the ocean.
And the beach was perfect. But what I remember most was falling in love all over again. Sandals Grand Antigua. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
It's our little differences that can make a world of difference. Expedia. Everything in one place so you can travel the world better.
These are the faces of arthritis. And when they have pain, they turn to Australian Dream. Here's why they love it.
Australian Dream doesn't burn, and there's no odor.
There's real medicine in there. It's effective pain relief.
I bought it because of the money-back guarantee. I keep buying it because it works.
If you're one of the faces of arthritis, get Australian Dream. It's effective relief for arthritis backed by the empty jar guarantee. Back pain? Try Australian Dream Back Pain Cream. Real medicine, trusted relief.
When you schedule with Safe by Autoglass, you get a text when we're on our way. You can see exactly when we'll arrive.
I'm Micah with Safe Flight.
Thanks for coming. It's right over here.
Giving you a few more minutes for what matters most. Take care.
Safe Flight Repair, Safe Flight Replace.
Closed captioning brought to you by OnlyMeso.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 7 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-384-9000.
Our breaking news first on CNN. Top Democratic lawmakers demanding more documents on the former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. They say he left important information out of his security clearance application, failing to disclose a 2015 Middle East trip that was followed by a major Saudi-Russian nuclear deal. We're back with Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island, a key member of the Judiciary Committee. Senator, what's your reaction to the news that your colleagues on the House side are seeking this information on General Flynn's work in Saudi Arabia, that he didn't disclose it when he is applying to renew his security credentials?
Well, if you draw conclusions as a prosecutor about what we can see from the Flynn investigation, all the signals are suggesting that he's already cooperating with the FBI and may have been for some time. First of all, they had him dead to rights on a felony false statement for the statement that they took from him in the White House about his Kislyak conversations. Second, Comey reported that one of the things that the FBI does with cooperators is to get him to go back and clean up areas of non-compliance. And Flynn, who will never be hired by a foreign government again, went back and cleaned up his Foreign Agent Registration Act filings. Third, all of the reporting on the Eastern District of Virginia subpoenas is one hop away from Flynn. He's like the hole in a donut of subpoenas. And finally, one of the more talkative people in Trump land has gone absolutely dead silent. And that's what prosecutors strongly encourage cooperating witnesses to do. So this would be just another bit of leverage for the prosecutors to make sure that he was cooperating and giving truthful testimony in order to avoid lengthy imprisonment.
So it's your assumption, your conclusion, that he's cooperating now with federal law enforcement authorities, but you don't know that for sure. You're just looking at the evidence, and that's your conclusion.
That's a conclusion from all of the evidence and some experience in dealing with this.
And if he is cooperating, the upshot is that that could be a huge deal.
It could be a huge deal because who knows what Trump has said to him, both during the campaign and during the early days of the presidency. And then apparently Trump's been in touch with him after his firing from the White House to tell him to stay strong, which in some circumstances could be looked at as manipulation of a witness or obstruction of justice.
Well, that would be a major development, certainly if that's confirmed, that he is now cooperating with the FBI and other law enforcement. Very
just a
significant
conclusion, but the tea leaves all read that way.
I see the evidence you're pointing to, of course, and I thank you for joining us, Senator Whitehouse. Thank you as usual.
Good to be with you.
Coming up, the White House says it is possible there may be an answer by the end of the week on whether the president has made secret recordings at Capitol Hill showdown. Furious Democrats vowing to block all Senate business in response to Republican secrecy in drafting an Obamacare replacement bill in the Senate. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
Why create something this extravagant? Or make a back seat that feels nothing like a back seat? Why give it every feature you could want, along with a few you didn't know you needed? It's simple. You can build a car, or you can build a Cadillac.
Here you go, little guy. A cockroach can survive submerged underwater for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Not getting in today. Not on my watch.
Pests never stop trying to get in. We never stop working to keep them out. Terminix, defenders of home.
There's nothing more important to me than my vacation. So when I need to book a hotel, I want someone who makes it easy. Booking.com gets it, and with the Book Now, Pay Later feature, I don't have to pay for anything when I book.
Visit Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Jesse. And I'm Ben. We started Hubble because contact lenses are too expensive. At Hubble, our fresh daily contacts are affordable and delivered straight to you. Hubble. Daily contacts, half the price.
If you have Medicare Parts A and B and want more coverage, guess what? You could apply for a Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan whenever you want. No enrollment window, no waiting to apply. That means now may be a great time to shop for an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company. Medicare doesn't cover everything, and like all standardized Medicare supplement insurance plans, these help cover some of what Medicare doesn't pay. So don't wait. Call now to request your free decision guide. It could help you find the AARP Medicare supplement plan that works for you. These types of plans have no networks, so you get to choose any doctor who accepts Medicare patients. Rates are competitive, and they're the only plans of their kind endorsed by AARP. Remember, these plans let you apply all year round. So call today, because now's the perfect time to learn more. Go long.
Two babies sharing precious brain tissue go inside the operating room with Dr. Sanjay Gupta for this historic surgery.
I was wondering whether we were going to lose both kids.
And find out what happened next. Saving the Twins, Friday night at 10.
If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer due to asbestos exposure, call Flint Firm now for your free consultation. It is important you have the right firm on your side to ensure you get the financial compensation you deserve. Our mesothelioma attorneys will help you throughout every step of the claim process. Time is limited to file your claim. Call the number on your screen now. Your consultation with Flint Firm is free. Call 1-800-397-3310. That's 1-800-397-3310 now.
If you or a loved one underwent hernia surgery between 2010 and 2016 and then suffered serious complications, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Complications associated with physomesh include chronic pain, infection, adhesions, mesh migration, reopening of the hernia, and other serious injuries. Call right now.
Call 1-800-554-8301. That's 1-800-554-8301.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
We're back with the breaking news. More mixed messages from the president's team on the Russia investigation. President Trump's personal lawyer directly contradicting the president's claim that he's under investigation for firing FBI Director James Comey, and the White House press secretary floating the possibility that President Trump could confirm whether or not he secretly taped conversations with Comey as early as later this week. Let's discuss with our specialists and experts. And Dana, the mixed messages coming from the president's personal attorney versus the president himself on whether the president's under investigation, it's pretty stark.
It is stark, but the president's message came from a tweet, which is not very, it's very difficult to say everything you want to say in a tweet. That's the main reason, well, one of the many reasons, I should say, why his aides would really prefer him not to tweet as much, particularly on issues like this. Never mind the political consequences, but the legal consequences. So clearly he sent his legal advisor out to try to beat back the notion that he's under investigation, and the fact that it contradicted the tweet that he was sending, which probably did come in response to the Washington Post article that said he was under investigation, and he was trying to sort of, play off of that. But it wasn't clear in the tweet. And when you're president of the United States, you got to be clear, period.
Yeah, these are official statements,
Yes.
these tweets. That tweet, Mark, is that I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director. Witch hunt. He didn't say the Washington Post is reporting that I am being investigated. He said it flatly, I am being investigated.
And he wasn't talking about Rod Rosenstein or Mueller at that point. We weren't quite sure who he was exactly directing his ire at. Mueller being, of course, the one who is the special counsel, Robert Mueller. The problem for Donald Trump, though, and I've been thinking a lot about this over the past couple of days, is that he becomes very vague in his statements, and they're very, very powerful. For instance, he talks about tapes in the Oval Office, but he's very vague about that, and we still don't know the answers to that. He talks about him being under investigation, but then he puts his lawyer out there who then comes out and says, well, no, he's not under investigation. He puts his press secretary and his deputy press secretary out there to refute things that he wants them to refute, and then he goes back and then he refutes them. It's just a mess over there, right?
Because the president's personal attorney, Jay Sekulow, says they have not been informed by Mueller that the president is under investigation, which doesn't mean he isn't under investigation. But couldn't the White House counsel simply call Mueller or someone in the office of the special counsel and say, by the way, is the president under investigation?
Well, what the heck would Robert Mueller say? He wouldn't answer that, not yesterday, not today, not never. He's going to follow the facts. The facts may relate to what happened with Russia during the campaign. The facts may relate to obstruction. I guarantee you with the legal team he's put together, and it hasn't been that long, they don't know what the end of this game is. If he ever answers the question about whether the president's under investigation, no, don't worry about it, you're okay. And the facts take him someplace else within a week or two, what's he supposed to say then? All these people around the country think the president just picks up the phone and says, what's going on? Mueller's not going to answer that question.
Comey testified that on 3 occasions he did tell the president he was not under investigation.
Sure, that's before he got fired, which is one of the facts in my judgment that leads someone to say maybe the president was obstructing the investigation. So we got months of information since Comey's left office and a lot of investigation. I think there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then.
But the thing to keep in mind, big picture here, is that every moment that the president spends tweeting about this or sending his legal advisor out to talk about it, we're talking about it because it becomes a bigger deal, because it becomes a presidential moment. They're doing that and not talking about health care or finding the people who voted for him jobs, or, you list the things that he ran on. And that is what is frustrating people who want him to succeed in the White House and over, down Pennsylvania Avenue on Capitol Hill. They're tearing their hair out over and over and over again as they try to move the agenda forward, try to take another step, and then they're diverted and distracted by the president's own making.
Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, today said it's possible that by the end of the week we'll have an answer whether or not there are tapes, recordings of the president's private conversations with Comey. Why is this such a difficult? It's been a month now since the president himself first raised the issue. Why is it taking so long?
It's ludicrous. I mean, the idea that he says or puts out there that, hey, I may have tapes, I may not have tapes. And it's been a month that we don't know if he does or he doesn't. I suspect he doesn't. And I suspect that he's just throwing up another smokescreen, and he looks kind of silly having done so. But the fact of the matter is, his inability to try to work with this investigation, to try to get it over with quickly, could end up to be his downfall when it comes to trying to get any policy items done. Quite frankly, what history will look at him for when he leaves office, and really to try to get this investigation.
The only thing I can imagine, Phil, and you used to work in intelligence and law enforcement, if there are tapes, maybe there's a possibility it could interfere disclosing the information about that there are recordings in law enforcement or intelligence gathering. That's the only explanation I could even surmise.
I don't think so. If there's tapes, I'm going to fall out of my chair. Part of the reason is because people talk about conspiracy theories outside Washington. Let me tell you, inside the Beltway, I can't remember a single secret out of those intense days after 9/11, 2002, 2003, 2004. Hundreds of people know about this stuff, and this hasn't leaked. I don't buy it. I think the answer is more straightforward.
Well, you're thinking about a taping system. Is that what you're talking about?
That's right.
Yeah, but this could also just be him recording on a
but still,
on a
somebody,
or a phone.
I think somebody would know. My point is, I think a more straightforward explanation is he stuck himself in a trap, and now as the tough guy has to figure out, how do I say that I never meant that in the first place?
And he's done that. He's done that with several other issues, including saying he's going to release his tax returns. He put himself kind of in the corner. I'm going to release them. Never released them. Said he was going to sue the accusers who accused him of sexual misconduct. He's never done so.
We're standing by to hear from the president himself. He's meeting with tech representative CEOs, major tech representatives, including Jeff Bezos of Amazon. They're at the White House right now. We're going to hear from the president, hear what he says, much more coming up on that. Also, a young American man has died just days after returning to the United States from North Korea. Otto Warmbier, held in detention for more than a year and a half, sentenced to hard labor for allegedly stealing a propaganda poster. He had just arrived back in the United States in a coma. We'll update you. That's coming up.
What if technology gave us the power to turn this enemy into an ally?
Microsoft and its partners are using smart traps to capture mosquitoes and sequence their DNA to fight disease. There are over 100 million pieces of DNA in every sample. With the Microsoft Cloud, we can analyze the data faster than ever before. If we can detect new viruses before they spread, we may someday prevent outbreaks before they begin.
For the ultimate protection for your vehicle's floor, you need WeatherTech floor liners. Get complete coverage of your floor, including the front, middle, back, and even up the sides. And our cargo liners are also laser measured for a perfect fit. Nothing protects like WeatherTech. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com. WeatherTech, complete protection, completely American made.
Today, we're finally getting our bathtub redone. We weren't happy with it.
But we didn't want the headaches of demolition.
Or the days without our bathroom. Then a friend told us about Bathfitter and their unique tub-over-tub process. There's no demolition, and they install in as little as a day. They also have a seamless wall for a watertight fit. And Bathfitter has a lifetime guarantee. What a difference. Finally, a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com.
Custom Ink knows Saturdays can be crazy.
Crazy.
You get it all started, you bring them all together, and sometimes cart them around too. And when it comes to making custom t-shirts that make the event, you do it all with Custom Ink. With the best collection of styles and graphics to choose from, it's easy to go online and create custom t-shirts and more for all of life's events. Free shipping and on-time delivery is guaranteed. Go to customink.com to get started today.
Is your dog trying to tell you something? Allergic itch in dogs is a medical condition that's more common and treatable than you think. That's why there's prescription Apoquel, the revolutionary medicine that's giving millions of dogs the relief they deserve. Apoquel goes to the source of the itch to provide relief in as little as 4 hours. And Apoquel is safe without many of the side effects associated with the use of steroids. Apoquel is for the control of itch associated with allergic dermatitis and the control of atopic dermatitis in dogs. Do not use Apoquel in dogs less than 12 months old or those with serious infections. Apoquel may increase the chance of developing serious infections and may cause existing parasitic skin infestations or pre-existing cancers to worsen. Do not use in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs. Most common side effects are vomiting and diarrhea. Don't wait. Ask your veterinarian about Apoquel today. Apoquel. It's itch relief worth barking about.
Trivago makes it easy for you to find the ideal hotel for the best price. Just go to Trivago, type in where you want to go, and with 2 clicks, select your check-in and check-out dates and search. You can then easily compare all the hotel rooms that meet your search criteria and find the room that is ideal for you. Remember, Trivago shows you all the different prices for the exact same room. And that's how you can be sure that you find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Duncan just protected his family with a $500,000 life insurance policy. How much do you think it cost him? $100 a month? $75? $50? Actually, Duncan got his $500,000 for under $27 a month. Less than $1 a day. His secret? SelectQuote. In just minutes, a SelectQuote agent will comparison shop nearly a dozen highly rated life insurance companies and give you a choice of your 5 best rates. Duncan's wife, Cassie, got a $750,000 policy for $19 a month. Give your family the security it needs at a price you can afford. Since 1985, SelectQuote has saved over 1 million families millions of dollars on life insurance. Call now, 800-556-0900, or go to SelectQuote.com. Discover what over 1 million families know now. We shop, you save.
Breaking news, we're standing by to hear from President Trump as he meets with tech CEOs in the White House. We expect him to be asked about the death of the American Otto Warmbier just days after returning from North Korean captivity. We'll have more on the breaking news in a moment, but right now there's a showdown unfolding up on Capitol Hill. Furious Democrats are vowing to bring Senate business to a complete halt over Republican secrecy in drafting a health care bill. Senate Republican leaders are pushing for a vote before the July 4th recess without even holding any hearings, at least so far, no hearings, and without disclosing what's in the mystery bill, at least not yet. Let's go live to our CNN congressional correspondent, Phil Mattingly. So, Phil, walk us through what the Democrats are planning.
Well, they're trying to utilize procedure to their advantage, Wolf. And look, you said it. Senate Republicans are planning, according to Senate GOP aides, to have a vote next week. That is still the goal. That is still the plan. And that has certainly sparked urgency amongst Senate Democrats on kind of two levels. Well, first and foremost, they haven't been involved in this process. As such, they're going to try and slow things down in the Senate, a place where you can't get anything done if not all senators approve on moving forward. So that means they will try and shut down committee hearings. They will try and shut down floor proceedings. And throughout the night tonight and likely later on this week, you will have Democratic senators taking to the floor, talking about the process, decrying that process. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer giving us a hint of what we're going to see earlier today. Take a listen.
Why are my Republican friends engaging in this farce of a legislative process? Why are Republicans willing to engage in such blatant hypocrisy, contradicting all of the things they've said about good procedure in the Senate? What are they afraid of? There's only one reason why Republicans are doing this. They're ashamed of their bill. The Republicans are writing their health care bill under the cover of darkness because they're ashamed of it. Plain and simple.
And, Wolf, there is a strategy behind what Republicans are trying to do. They saw what happened in the House, obviously, where a lot of these debates played out very publicly. The blowback was very fierce. That's the rationale behind, for the most part, up to this point, keeping everything behind closed doors. But that certainly has opened them to attacks from Democrats, attacks that are only going to grow more fierce as the days go on, Wolf.
What do you know about what could go into this Republican Senate bill?
Look, it's amazing when you consider the House process, which I covered kind of throughout, how little has actually come out. But we do know one thing in particular. There's been a big sticking point on Medicaid, both the expansion that the Affordable Care Act provided and also the growth rate in the program as well. I'm told under consideration right now, according to two Senate GOP aides, is changing the growth rate in 2025 from medical inflation, how it's currently calculated now, how states get their funding, to standard inflation. Now, Wolf, the House bill as it currently stands would reduce spending in the Medicaid program by $800 billion over the course of 10 years. The Senate would be moving to a more drastic shift in reduction of spending through this program. This is something that does not make moderate Republican senators happy. Senator Rob Portman of Ohio has already made clear he's opposed to this idea, but this is something conservatives would be happy with. Again, aides caution, this proposal isn't final, but as you see things start to come out, you recognize how senators inside this conference, a conference that is very diverse ideologically when it comes to health care, are trying to position themselves as the calendar shuts down, closes down, as they move towards this vote. Wolf, a very important point here. As this debate has gone on behind closed doors over the last couple of weeks, senators have really had a lot of space, I'm told, to try and kind of hash out their ideas. That will be coming to an end soon. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is going to make very clear at some point this week it's time to move forward. They want to have that vote next week, Wolf.
Yeah, they only have a 52-48 majority, the Republicans, in the Senate. Not a whole lot of flexibility there as far as making sure those moderate Republicans stay on board. All right, Phil, thanks very much. Let's bring back our experts and specialists. Actually, guys, I want you to stand by because we're getting some more information that I want to discuss. We'll be right back.
Leadership is part intuition and part insight. With the right HR technology, you get total workforce visibility, whether you're on the other side of the wall or the other side of the world. True visibility into your people makes recruiting smarter, retention more strategic, and ensures that top performers are rewarded. Because no matter what business you're in the people business. Ultimate Software. People first.
Hi, I'm Jesse. And I'm Ben. We started Hubble because contact lenses are too expensive. At Hubble, our fresh daily contacts are affordable and delivered straight to you.
Hubble. Daily contacts, half the price.
This is a story about mail and packages, and it's also a story about people. And
And while we make more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country, we never forget that your business is our business. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Planning a trip? Go Cheapo Air. We love visiting family.
And getting a great deal.
That's why
We go Cheapo!
you can quickly search millions of cheap flights to get the ticket you want and the seat you want. And you always get our best price. Guaranteed.
And they're available by phone 24/7.
We all go Cheapo!
Save up to $30 off our service fee. Just go to cheapoair.com and enter the promo code TICKET. Download our free app or call 888-216-9804.
If you just sign that first
I'm
one
so
there.
sorry. I don't feel comfortable signing that.
I don't get the math here.
Was this the same car we talked about?
What's this dealer preparation fee?
I'm so sorry. This just is not.
What we talked about.
Get the car without the car salesman. Carvana.com, the better way to buy a car.
Once upon a time, Hansel and Gretel came upon a house made out of gingerbread. Being quite hungry, they started eating the roof. The homeowner was outraged. Luckily, the Geico Insurance Agency had helped her with homeowner's insurance. She got all her shingles replaced. Hansel and Gretel were last seen eating their way through the candy cane forest. Call Geico and see how easy it is to switch and save on homeowner's insurance.
Wow, Wayfair has everything.
Drop the mic. Everything I need? I'm done. Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
Everything home, all in one place. So get it done. Visit Wayfair.com today.
Tonight, President Trump says he's the target of a witch hunt. His lawyers deny he's even being investigated. Is he feeling the pressure? Florida Governor Rick Scott weighs in. Aaron Burnett out front. Live tonight, 7 Eastern.
Isn't this fun, living like the pioneers of olden times?
I hate the outside.
Well, I hate it wherever you are. Burn. Burn. Is that what the kids are saying now?
I'm so bored, I'm dead.
You can always compare rates on Progressive.com. Oh, that's nice, dear. But could you compare camping trips? Because this one would win.
All I want to do is enjoy nature and peace and quiet.
It's not about winning. It's about helping people find a great rate, even if it's not with Progressive.
Ugh, insurance. When I said peace and quiet, did you hear talk more and disappoint me?
Do-do-do-do. Skiddly-do-do. Camping with the family.
Fact, people spend less time lying awake with aches and pains with Advil PM than with Tylenol PM. Advil PM combines the #1 pain reliever with the #1 sleep aid. Gentle, non-habit forming Advil PM for a healing night's sleep.
It's like nothing you've seen. The power of Nexium 24-hour protection from frequent heartburn, all day and all night. Now packed into a pill so small, we call it Mini. New clear minis from Nexium 24-hour. See heartburn differently.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Senate Republicans are busy drafting a bill to repeal and replace Obamacare as pressure bills to hold a vote before the July 4th recess. But the process has been shrouded in complete secrecy, and angry Democrats are threatening to grind the Senate to a halt. We're back with our experts and specialists. So what's the end game here, Dana, for the Democrats?
Well, for the Democrats, they're trying to shine a light on it, and they're trying to signal to their supporters and people who are very, very unsettled by the notion of repealing Obamacare, even some Republicans out there, independents as well, that, that they're on it. But the bigger question, I think, is before the blockade happens, something needs to be blockaded. And the question is, what is going to happen in those closed-door discussions with Republicans? Can they come up with a deal? And it's still TBD. I mean, we talk a lot about the moderate Republicans and trying to negotiate the idea of the Medicaid expansion and, kind of if that's going to be phased out, doing it in a slow way so that governors have a chance to figure out how to pay for health care in their states, especially many who have these opioid crisis and rely on federal dollars for it. But then you also have some of the more conservative members, Wolf. I mean, Ted Cruz, for example, who was, made his name in politics by railing against Obamacare, and being the outsider, he's in these meetings. But he's not necessarily going to sign on to something unless he's comfortable with it. And then you have a whole, maybe five other Republicans on the more conservative side who might not sign on. And they can't afford to lose more than 2 or 3 votes, or else this isn't going to happen. So I think before, the Democrats are trying to get headlines, but before that happens, it's a big question about whether there's really going to be a deal amongst Republicans.
How do the Republican leaders justify one of the most important pieces of legislation affecting so many millions and millions of Americans, or health care, changing, repealing, and replacing Obamacare without allowing any hearings to even take place before the relevant committees, and letting there to be a real debate and a dialogue, because no one knows what's in this legislation?
Well, it's the beauty with the United States Senate. You don't necessarily have to justify your actions because you've given so much power when you are in the majority. Now, the minority has power as well, but in this case, the majority will eventually win if, as Dana says, they can keep all of their Republicans together. Listen, the Republicans, when they're looking at this bill, aren't necessarily very happy with it, right? I mean, they're not saying, like, let's ride this one to victory in 2018 and beyond. What they're saying is, let's just get through this and let's just try to get it over with. And I do think that the calculation on behalf of the Republicans is, listen, and Republicans, I say Mitch McConnell and other Republican leaders,